Hello guys, still on point 14 here and welcome to the podcast. Do you have times in your favorite TV shows that when an episode ends in to be continued, you guys are like, no! Why? Why is this happening? I need to see what happens next! Well, that's what Roscoe and Mama Entertainments are going to talk about today. This is Pause on Animation, baby!
Thanks, Sylveon 13.
Hello everyone, Roscoe Entertainment's here.
And Mama Entertainments. Welcome to our podcast.
Today we're going to talk about the Cliffhanger episodes from one of our favorite current cartoons, Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
Those episodes are Season 1's finale, Storm the Castle, Season 2 mid-finale, Bon Bon the Birthday Clown, the 1-hour season finale for Season 2, Face the Music, and Star Crush. And finally, the most recent mid-season 3 finale, Monster Bash.
Now, as of recording this episode, the final episodes of Season 3 have not aired yet, so that's why we're not including the Season 3 finale. We would have if it aired when it was supposed to, so that might be a big one we couldn't get to.
So, let's get on with the show!
Okay, so first off is the Season 1 finale, Storm the Castle.
Okay.
Now, do you remember watching this when you first started watching and you got to this episode?
Well, just in case, set up everyone for what that episode was about.
Okay.
But yes, I absolutely positively remember, and you tell me about it every so often about my reaction.
Right. Okay, so just for a quick synopsis, Marco is kidnapped by Toffee and holds him for ransom until Star can come and exchange it for the wand. Mm-hmm. And she has to team up with Ludo and Buff Frog to save him.
Right. And before that, at the beginning of the episode, they actually go to, I don't know what dimension it is.
It's called a sandwich dimension.
She wants to get this stinking, dirty, sucky sandwich that she says tastes so good, and Marco thinks she's loony that she's going through all this stuff trying to get this sandwich.
Yeah, it's called the sandwich. It's literally called the sandwich dimension. It's that almost nothing is known about except that the monster has a sandwich in it and you get it out. Like, is that bait, I guess?
Right.
Like an anglerfish.
It reminds me of that SpongeBob episode where they went on they took that bus trip and they had the fish that was there. And he had whatever that was in his mouth, and they didn't know that it was a fish. What was it?
Oh yeah, it was the movie.
Right.
It was the ice cream lady, and they thought it was ice cream, and it was this giant sand creature with a giant mouth.
Right. So yeah, it was a trap, and it's so funny because the sandwich looks so unassuming. It looks nice and neat with a little olive sticking out on top. What do kids know about having an olive on a sandwich?
Right?
I don't even eat an olive on a sandwich.
Well, I guess so. It's nice and perfect, and then it looked fine till it got ripped in half. Then it looked horrible. It's like, oh.
So, the first cliffhanger is about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about, probably the last 10 minutes are the most important and what it means in terms of the arc of the series itself.
Right, because the first half kind of builds up to what's to come. It's just telling you what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. First off, it's going to be like a regular episode, but it's the first half hour, so that means more's got to happen.
Right.
If nothing happened in like that 30 minutes, then what was the point of making it specially long?
And then this episode really, really lets us know what Toffee had been suffering for dealing with Ludo, pretending he wanted to help him as being an assistant and blah, blah, blah. And then, right before he kicked him out of his own castle. Right. And then in this episode, we really find out what Toffee is about, how evil he is. Right. And he's willing to kill to complete his objective.
Yeah, before it got worse in later seasons. Right. But yeah, this is just a taste of it.
Exactly.
And it was really interesting to see that usually in the villains, or what Ludo would do, he would just kind of torture the person he's got. It would just be run of the mill, what happened in the hostage situation. But Tommy didn't do that. He just sat and waited for Star. He didn't do anything. He didn't torture Marco or anything. And monsters were waiting to do something to him. And he's like, no. They were just sitting there and waiting for her to come in.
And he didn't want the wand. He's like, you're confusing me with Ludo.
Yeah.
I don't want the wand. I want you to destroy it.
Surprise! Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, that was really different. So they keep establishing these are two different characters. Do not mix one with the other. And from this point on, when the wand is destroyed, this starts the official story for the show. Because I know people have said, and I personally don't agree, that season 1 was kind of lacking because it had mostly filler and no story. Well, you didn't know what it was supposed to be about yet.
Right.
That's why there was no plot yet. It didn't really start until that 8th episode where Toffee was introduced. But the finale of it started this chain of events that start from there to season 2 and season 3, and when it gets to all this world building and Game of Thrones plots.
Right. And then I think also the first season, since they knew there would be multiple seasons after we went, gaga over it, it was establishing the relationship between Marco and Star.
Right.
I mean, there was nothing there. They didn't know each other. And, in the beginning, Marco didn't want to be bothered. And she felt like she was being, a drain, and she would just go back. And then he realizes, hey, I'm not being fair. And then over the entire season, you see their relationship grow. You see Star's craziness, yet you see that she is a rebel princess. She wants to do the right thing, but she's got this fun, crazy rebel side to her.
Right.
And Marco wants to be a misunderstood bad boy, which he isn't. But you realize his sense of responsibility and his sense of wanting to do the right thing helped to influence Star and make her grow as a person.
Right.
And then her silly side helps him to be more relaxed and be more fun-loving, which he isn't when they first meet.
Right.
So that helps that whole relationship grow and develop.
Right.
And I think that was really part of the purpose of that first season.
Exactly. And yeah, I agree, because you see now they are pretty different from the first season. Marco's definitely more relaxed. He wants to go on mute and have all these adventures, and Star is taking her role as princess more seriously, but still wants to have fun. So yeah, all of that, it wasn't just for filler because they know how to write, except for like one part. It were just establishing the characters, getting you used to them, then introduce a story, and then go from there. Because if you have nothing but plot, then not only do you not get a break, but you also run out episodes quickly. If you get through take out all the filler episodes, you get your plot episodes, then you're done with the season already, and you've been watching. It's like, wait a minute, what was that? Like, you gotta have stuff in between, so it kind of keeps you entertained. You still have fun with it.
And then it makes it a totally different show as well, because part of the theme song says gonna have a good time.
Right.
So if it's all, as you say, plot and drama and suspense, it's not a good time.
Yeah.
So basically that first season was our good time. All those fun, crazy episodes that we remember.
Right.
For me, I have to say, that is my favorite season right now, because you were introduced to, his friends who after the first season just kind of disappeared.
Right, because they were supposed to be there.
You were introduced to the school, which kind of disappeared.
Right.
And Brittany and all the friends on the
Jackie,
cheerleading squad and Jackie. You got to meet all these people, and it was fun. Season 1 set out and accomplished exactly what it was meant to do. To have a good time, to get us hooked, to get us sitting and waiting for the next episode and what crazy was going to happen, and getting us to actually not only fulfill the good time part, but getting us to fall in love with Star, which you did, and to fall in love with Marco, which you did, and to understand that his parents are these really great kooky parents who let this girl from another dimension come and be a so-called exchange student. And they fall in love with her. And it's just, I think it did exactly what it's supposed to do. And I'm sorry, I love Ponyhead. And Ponyhead was part of the good time.
Oh my goodness.
There's no way you can't say she wasn't part of the good time. I don't care what you think of Ponyhead. I love Ponyhead. So it's set up to set up and do exactly what it was meant to do for that first season.
Right.
And as you said, then you get to that final episode, and then you get your drama, and then you get your suspense, and then you get,
the plot.
And the purposes of why Toffee's there, what Ludo was setting out to do. You just thought at first Ludo was this goofy, incompetent character, and you realize he really wasn't.
Right. It's like the type of villain you see in lots of comedy, like a superhero show, if you want to do that. And there's always one villain that's always silly and kooky, not much of a threat, and then there's one that is a threat. And then part of that, Ludo grew to be a threat. And then a sympathetic villain, so he was probably the most developed villain of the show.
Right. So that episode, and speaking specifically for that episode as far as the first cliffhanger,
Right.
We had, again, Toffee and him wanting the wand destroyed.
Right.
And then we had Ludo, who, permanently gets not only the castle taken away, but he gets eaten by that bird thing.
Yeah, a chicken.
And then you also have Buff Frog. You find out Buff Frog wants to be a daddy. Yeah,
Right.
he was the muscle, but he really has this sweet side, and he
Right.
wants to be a daddy, so he gets these tadpoles
Right.
that Ludo brings to him. And I also let you know Ludo isn't as bad as you think he is.
Right.
He says, well, they were meant to, I was supposed to use them to get you to do what I want, but never
friends.
mind.
Yeah, because we're friends.
But he doesn't take them away, and he doesn't kill them.
Right.
He lets them keep the tadpoles.
Right.
And then you find out the links that Star will go to protect her friend. You find out the links that Marco will go to make sure she doesn't get hurt. It's just so much in this cliffhanger that's developed. So.
Oh, and the last thing I want to mention is the first episode, before we figured out what it was when she dipped down.
Right.
The first one, because the very next episode in season 2 focused on her getting that power, and which was like literally right after, and it was really interesting because I remember the first time you watched it, you were like, everyone who saw it, including you, but I like to make fun of you. Yeah. And it's like, what the heck? What the heck? Why is that? Like, shh, I'm not saying anything. Shh. I need to see what happened. Why didn't that cage break? Why didn't it break? It won't break. What the beep? She just kept going and going like, yeah, it wasn't just like, whoa, but she was going nuts.
Yes, it was. It was the first cliffhanger. It was the first one that really got us going, really got us excited and wanting to know, why was this happening?
Right.
And why was Toffee doing this?
Right.
And Toffee, you just found out, was this as Looney Cat says, he was a mother trucker. He really is. He wanted the wand destroyed. He was going to kill Marco if he had to get Star to do what he wanted. Right. And he was not surprised when the wand blew up.
Yeah, he was smiling.
And he had already prepared for not being destroyed. And at that time we didn't know
what
Toffee was or whom he was.
Right, like did they drop it, but then you find out, there's more to it.
And there were so many questions left unanswered with this episode, especially with the little unicorn that came out of the wand.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not only strange, but kind of creepy. Yes, he spoke in this Italian accent.
Right, yeah. And then you never see him again. He goes inside the new wand, then you never see him again. And then, and she got a new wand, and then the other half is missing. And then you see at the very end of the episode that it's still there, only now it's green, which lets you know what happened to Toffee at the time you didn't know.
Right. And you were wondering, okay, well, what's she going to do now her wand is broken? Is she going to be able to, do her magic? Is she going to be able to still be a princess, or is she going to be sent back to Muni because of all this happening? And there were just so many questions left unanswered. And I think this first cliffhanger was probably the best cliffhanger, because not only was it the first one, but there were just so many questions that we had. I mean, tons of questions, and none of them could be answered. I mean, there was nothing that we could figure out.
All you could do was theorize.
Right, there were all these theories and conspiracies, but we really didn't know anything because it was the first season and was the last episode of the first season.
Right, and for a while before you got to the next season.
Right, so for me, I think this first cliffhanger is the best. It really got the ball rolling for the series itself. It introduced so many characters that still today in season 3 are integral to the arc and integral to the story being told. And it also established the relationship to me a little more, and I know some people are going to disagree, than the Blood Moon Ball. Right. Yeah, I know what happens, and I know it seals them together.
Right.
But in this one, you saw, Marco got caught. You need to get away, Star. And no, I'm not leaving you. You really see the love they have for each other.
Right.
And at that time, it was still just friendships.
Right.
It wasn't the ship yet.
Right.
It was the links they would go to as friends and their love as friends. So.
Right. And yeah, that is why we had to mention that, because it's definitely a finale to remember.
Definitely a cliffhanger. So now on to the second one.
Bon Bon the Birthday Clown, the season 2 mid-finale. And this one kind of goes for more drama and build-up again. But rather, the build-up starts faster than Storm the Castle. Because for the synopsis for this is that it's supposed to be some dance. Insert name of dance here is just dance.
Right.
And Jackie asks Marco to dance. He goes with her. Of course, we going with Star. And where we were supposed to go, and she's gonna do this weird dead clown seance with Jana. It's like, for kids. And she's agreed, I'll go ahead and let him go with Jackie. This is what he's wanting to do, and they go do this. And you kind of think this is what's gonna be about until it gets to this almost the halfway point, and then things start to change fast.
Exactly. And we didn't see it coming. It was a great tactic to use, because we were all unassuming, and like you said, we really thought it was just going to be about this clown coming back in 100 years, like he promised.
We kind of thought he was going to be the villain too.
Exactly. And then, like you said, it just flips, and it all becomes about Star and her book, and about Glossaric, and
Ludo.
about Ludo, and you still got some Marco and some Jackie, but your focus goes off them to all of these different elements.
Right, because it started to collide. Like Phineas and Ferb saw, the two stories had to collide when it got near the end. Because for the first half, it did focus on Jarko, which actually became canon in this episode really unexpectedly.
Right.
He went on a date with her. It's like, what? You didn't expect that to happen?
And what was so intricate about that is, before there was Starco, as you said, Jarko. And during the whole first season, and up to this point, everybody, I think, including us, we were rooting like, oh, Marco, he's got to go out with her. Yeah, he likes her. And he's been chasing her all this time. And at first you were so excited. You're like, yeah, Marco finally goes out with Jackie. Yeah, Marco finally goes out with Jackie, because you realize that means if he's with Jackie, he's not going to be with Star. But the whole time, Darren Nefsey got you to cheer for this pairing, cheer for this ship, and you were just like, yeah! And then all of a sudden you were like, oh no! He's going to be with Star. And then we get, in that same vein, the saddest face I've ever seen on any animated character. Oh, my heart was like, aching so badly for Star, with that sad face that you're looking at now. And I remember I kept saying to Rascal, oh, her face.
And I'm cute,
look at her face. And I was holding my face, looking at her face, because she looked so sad. And at that moment, the fandom realized what it meant. Marco's with Jackie, which means he won't be with Star. And in that episode, she also finally understands that she has feelings for Marco that are beyond friendship.
Right. And for a while, and then I love the part where she kind of called him like 57 times. Like, how many times you gonna call? And then Mama wins and I told you, she likes him. She likes him. You're not gonna trick me into saying this night. You don't call her for that many times. She likes him. Are you listening to me? Like, Mom, I'm watching the episode. I can talk to them about that later. And she inadvertently caused them to get together when she used the all-seeing eye spell to check on them. And when she was unintentionally angry, she knocked the wheel out of the skateboard, and she's like, I didn't mean to do that. And then you see that's how they end up getting their first kiss. It's like, oh no,
and then
it
you
just
have
escalated.
Symbolism too, with yes, she did all that, but you also have the symbolism where when she does the spell, you also realize that Star has more gifted powers than we realized, because she did the spell that Glossaric didn't help her with, didn't train her with, didn't tell her how to do. You begin to understand Star has some skills, and Star has some gifts, because she did this very difficult spell without anyone assisting her, and she did it right.
That's true, on the spot. Usually for her it will take her a few times to get, but she got it right the first time. And also want to mention that during the Jarko kiss that kind of stabbed every Starco fan, they had the Blood Moon show up. And it's like, you know, like that was foreshadowing. It's like almost telling you, don't worry, this is still gonna be canon. Don't worry about it. We'll still warn the Marco that Star was in danger. And Looney Cat did a voiceover of that.
What you're seeing now.
Yeah, and you're gonna love that. I love the voice he does. He's a sassy Blood Moon. It's all hanging. What you think you're doing? You can't go to some other cow.
Love and peace forever, Looney Cat.
It was just funny. He was perfect for that. And it was also perfect for Starco fans. It's kind of saying, like, don't give up. We're still going to do this, but this has to happen first, which just doesn't happen in animated shows. And I think this has been written very well. I know they said flawed romance, but I think that's a good thing because not every romance can be written perfectly, and I think this was a great thing to have where Jarko happened first before these other things, so that way it was, as Darren said, it feels organic and not you're just rushing into it.
Well, I think it was perfect for this series. And for the characters because it was sweet. Again, up until the point when they finally realized they're together and that means he won't be with Star, you were cheering for him.
Right.
And you were just wanting him to get with Jackie and wanting her to, you know, you didn't know up until that point that she had noticed him and she did like him. And you just wanted him to be successful because he was this, you know, misunderstood bad boy, right, like, Marco? Who had been so timid, all he would do was nod his head to her.
For 10 years!
Right. Instead of speaking to her. So you really wanted to work, and it was sweet. It was sweet in the way it was written, and it was sweet in the way it came about. So it was perfect. I think the way that she wrote it was perfect. And it worked perfectly for this particular cliffhanger.
Right.
Because that part of the storyline you thought was over, but you kind of knew it wasn't and you didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And now we get to Bon Bon, who in the cemetery with Star and Jenna, he comes back like he promised.
Yeah, but...
And then his spotlight is just totally destroyed.
Right? Yeah,
by Ludo.
Yeah, and then when he come back, Star has this vortex spell. He went right in it by accident. It's like, oh, there he goes. And poor Tom Kenny, who did the voice of Obama, is like, wow, they did just you wrong this episode. It wasn't about you, you know, you had the title, but what else could you call it without giving something away?
Right.
They had to lure into you and kind of into a trap, but in a good way to take you by surprise and write it very well.
Right. And then you have Ludo. And it was great, too, because you see Ludo, he planned this. He knew about them waiting for the clown, and he had his rat minions, and he's dressed like a clown. It's me. It's not whom you're looking for. And he had this plan to get this book, not knowing, you know, why he particularly had this plan. We find out later. But he got the plan to get the book, and then inadvertently, Glossaric is in the book, and... it almost seems like later on when you go back and watch the episode again, and we've watched it many times since, that Glossaric kind of knew what was going to happen. I don't think Glossaric was surprised because he was like, do you want this page? And the page just inadvertently happens to be one that tells you how to defeat an army of rats?
Yeah, it says something about a rat or something. He said, yeah, go ahead. And he said, okay, and he burns it up.
Right.
Why would he burn up something that would be important in his book of spells that you would need at any time?
And then he didn't act surprised. He didn't try to get away. He didn't try to get away from Ludo. He just kind of went with the flow, which makes you think, hey, when you watch it again, Glossaric wasn't surprised.
Right.
He knew what was going to happen, and he allowed it to happen for what reasons we didn't know until later. And you were upset, like, well, Glossaric, why didn't you do anything?
Right.
This is what you were thinking when you were watching that episode.
And the last thing I want to bring up is also people have said he keeps saying he's neutral, which is actually true. He might be a living figure, but he's part of the book. He is a personification of the glossary in a book, as you can see, because he has a family that's named after all these indexes of a book. And think about a book. Like, if you want to plant something, and you want to plant like some evil man-eating plants, and a book tells you how to plant but doesn't have that specifically, it's not good or evil. It just helps. All it does is supposed to give the person how to do what you want to do, and that's it. It's regardless of what you use it for. It's just for something. And that's why God said, oh, I'm just supposed to teach you. I really can't say. He doesn't have an opinion. He doesn't have a side because he's part of the book, so he just has to help whoever owns the book because that's the book's job.
That's a good point. Excellent point.
So he really didn't turn or just do nothing. He was part of the book, so therefore all he could do was whatever the reader wanted him to do.
And then let's get to Marco and Jackie when he tells her, you know, I've got to get to Star. You know, 57 times Marco knew something was wrong. And he gets there and all this craziness is happening. And then again you see, even though he's with Jackie, you still know he loves her. He's not realizing how yet.
Not yet.
He just think it's you know, as friendly love.
Right.
And that's not the proper term, but I
But
have
it's
another brain
fine.
fart. And
That's fine.
Star is willing to let herself be sucked into this vortex so that he isn't destroyed. And it's not that she didn't care about what happened to Jackie, and it's not that she didn't care what happened to Jenna, but she really didn't want Marco to be hurt, and she was willing to let herself be taken away and destroyed or whatever was going to happen in that vortex for Marco's safety. Marco wasn't having it, and he grabbed her. And then you find out that Jackie and Jenna are good people, that Jackie and Jenna are their friends. Because then they grab Marco trying to keep her from being sucked in. And it was an excellent and a well-written point in this episode because everyone was doing everything they could to keep Star from being, killed or whatever was going to happen in the vortex.
You'd be sucked away. I think Sylvia could be sucked away to some other dimension far away.
And but you didn't know what was going to happen. You had no idea what was going to happen.
Right. That's what was that fear of not knowing what happened rather than knowing what happened. It's just like, what if this happened and then the show has to focus on this? So, yeah.
And then, again, toward the end, you've got this ending where she's distraught because she's lost the book, she's lost glossary.
Right.
And you are left again with a lot of questions. Not as many as in the first cliffhanger.
Right.
But you are left with a lot of questions. What's Ludo going to do with the book? What's Toffee got to do with this? Was it really Ludo or was it Toffee who made, who did this plan?
Right.
And who carried this out? And what's going to happen to Star? Can she do spells without her book? What's going to happen with Marco and Jackie?
Which they kind of dropped a little bit.
Right. She saw him do this for Star. And at that point, she kind of only thought that it was a familial friendship where it had nothing to do, it was platonic. And that it was nothing else to it. So she was okay with it at that point. And you found out Jenna really is crazy as heck as you thought she was. Having Star go do this with her. But you also find out she cares about Star and, helping Marco to try to keep her from being taken away.
Right. And that really does tap to why it's a great mid-season finale, and then what's to come later and how it builds up to what's next up on the list, the season 2 finale.
But the last thing we should mention is we also find out about Ludo, and he does have, whether it's Toffee that's goading him on, or he was trying to be proactive on his own. He has some leadership skills because he's leading these rats to do this invasion and to undertake this plan to get this book from Star. So we find out exactly, and we found out more about Ludo than we thought before. We still were having this idea that Ludo was a joke, but this episode solidifies that in all his craziness and everything that goes about Ludo was not a joke.
Right.
And so now we go to, as you said, the next cliffhanger episode, which was the 1 hour season 2 finale, Face the Music, and Star Crushed.
Yep. And even though it was 2 different episodes, it still connect together as one story. So I think that's why they put it together as one, which made sense. And it was really fun. It was a really great and hard finale to the season. Because the first half hour for Face the Music, it starts with this songstress named Rue Barriott, who's voiced by Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy, which was automatically awesome.
Absolutely.
And he has to writes a song about Star for Song Day. It's supposed to be for the people of music, they know what their next queen is going to be like. And she kind of avoids him for 8 hours, goes to the mall for 8 hours and leaves Marco there with him, look like he's about to snap. And finally, she just kind of demands he leaves because she doesn't want to do it because all the songs are just
lame.
Lame. They're lame. and it turns out he wanted to write different songs too because he's a struggling artist. It's like, oh, here we go. And then
Star makes the mistake of saying, I want you to tell the truth, and I want it to be unlike any of the other songs. I want it to be fit. And he's like, for a rebel princess.
Yeah.
And
it worked until you start hearing the song.
The lyrics.
Yeah. And the whole song is really great. Each verse is very catchy in a different tune. It starts out nice and peaceful with the one they're familiar of, and that's why you saw the elderly humans not in agreement. It's like you knew what that meant.
And it was so cute. It's like so sweet and so hokey. Yes.
Right. And then he breaks in and he gets into a rock star outfit, and then it goes into a rock theme, and he's a rebel princess, and that was a great part.
Right.
And then it's this is a great song. But it's not over yet.
And Star was happy. Right. And Marco was happy. And everything was hunky-dory and just great.
And then it gets to the second verse, and then everything turns dark. Third verse, and everything turns dark, and then he starts telling that Ludo took the book. Ludo took the book. Glasser's gone. King and Queen knew they hid it from all of you, and everyone's like, "What? What?" And the council was there, and they were like, "What?"
And that was another moment I was like, "Shh, shh."
Yeah, like what? And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And everyone was terrified, and it's like, "Look, I had to tell the truth, but it's over now." And then it was a fourth verse. She didn't know about that. She never told me about this part. And then what does this guy do? He tells everybody that she's in love with Marco.
And we don't know if she told him or if he figured it out from just watching them.
I think it was that hug. And then people say, "I think you hugged too long because he thinks you're a thing." Now he's staring at us, isn't he? And he's looking, and he's got this like creepy look. It's like, I think he ships you now. And it was so funny. She's like, "Yeah, he's looking at us."
But I would have to say this cliffhanger is the most, the first part of a most brilliant cliffhanger.
Right.
The way that both halves are written was brilliant.
Right.
It was absolute writing brilliance, and it was geniusly done, and it kept us just on edge from the beginning of that first episode to the end of the second. But I want to say for the first half of the episode, Marco looked so cute, and so this Star in their little clothes, and he looked so regal sitting next to Star, and it's like foreshadowing. You know this is coming. You know
it's like, why is he sitting with the royal family?
And it's like, Darren F. C said, "I'm going to give you a little hint, just a little taste, just what it's going to look like. I'm going to make you happy just for a little bit."
Yeah, and then I'm going to snatch that. Right. And then also for the other half of Face the Music, we also got this plot with Moon, and she's going into the woods, and she's actually meeting with Ludo's parents, and you turn out Ludo's actually royalty.
And a teen.
Right. You were thinking
he's a kid.
You were thinking he was an adult or an older guy, but no, he's the runt of the litter, and that was actually the family castle that got blown up, and now they're living in this little hut, and they just pretty much just disown him and refuse to talk about him. He's got all these brothers and sisters, and only one cares about him.
And Alan Tudyk just does Ludo so well. He just voices him so well, and all the nuances come through in his voice. He's just amazing as Ludo. He really is.
Right.
You get all the different facets of Ludo with him doing this character.
And he's still doing his raspy voice, like that, sound like a monster, but he still delivers his lines really well, as you would take a regular person or someone who's doing dramatic lines.
Right.
So that was, like, as you said, just very great acting skills, even just through a voice that's supposed to be a silly voice.
And then you, as you were mentioning about meeting the family, you find out that Ludo is kind of like this cast-off, and only one person, his little brother Dennis, cares about him and wants him to come home, and he was voiced by the kid that was
he's from the middle.
Right.
His name was Brick. He's like the shortest kid on there, and he's the tallest one in the family on Star.
I thought Brick was the older one.
No, it's this the
right. You're right.
Son.
You're right.
I think Axel's the older brother.
We've watched it because Eden Shear's on there, and it's hilarious. But we're not that familiar, so sorry if we were messing up the names of the characters.
Right, and yeah, that was actually neat to see that there was someone that cared about him.
And even Moon cares. She's like, she wants to help him.
Right. As you see in the second half, most definitely.
Because he's a kid.
Right.
He's a teen. He's not this adult making decisions. He's just, he feels cast aside. He feels unloved. And you can see he's just desperate for someone to give him recognition, for someone to pay attention to him, for someone to show any amount of caring.
That's like,
and then you you start to see Ludo in that different light, and you actually begin to empathize, and have some sympathy for him. You can't help it because no matter what he's done, you're like, these are the actions of a kid. Right. Oh my gosh,
he's only doing Ludo what he thinks is right. So
and he doesn't know better. Right. He hasn't been taught better. Right. And he's struggling to find his way. So you have to empathize and have some sympathy for him. Right. So then we get to part 2,
Star Crush. Because right after the events of Face the Music and everybody in Muni being pissed off with the King, Queen, and the Council, there's actually another 2 plots going on. For the regular plot is about now things are awkward between Star and Marco because now he knows that now it's like it's uncomfortable now to look. They can't even make eye contact. It's like, how have you been doing? You look well, and you said you live in the same house. and it got so bad she had to call her friends, like, to kind of get away for a little bit because they start
all
getting
of her
awkward.
friends are as crazy as she is.
Right.
You got Ponyhead, you got Starfan 13,
Right.
you've got Jenna,
And Kelly.
and Kelly, right?
Yeah, and they kind of take her to this. It's supposed to be a bad kids party. It just seemed like all the dropout party, and they were burning up math books and crap, and it's like, what is this?
Right.
And that's where she meets Oscar again, who hasn't been seen in like over a season almost, because he was introduced like at one point in the show, but he kind of disappeared.
Right.
And he kind of showed up again
with his creepy eyes and his guitar.
Oh yeah, his guitar. He's got fangs and crap.
Right.
And it's really funny. Like, oh man, I haven't seen you in a while. And he found out he dropped out of school to pursue his music career that doesn't exist.
And at this point, before you were like, oh, it would be cute if Star was with Oscar again, not realizing if she was with him, she wouldn't be with Marco. But you realize, Oscar, ew, you don't want her with him anymore. You realize that he's kind of dense, and he's kind of slow. And when he asked the stupid question about hearing his song on Mars,
he was playing the guitar, and then it kind of ripped off and was flying to the sky. He
right.
said, do you think I'll end up on Mars? It's like, oh.
And I'm like, I wish you would end up on Mars. It's like, oh no.
Like, oh, how dense can you be?
You can't be with Star.
Right, and she realizes, like, you're not what I thought you were.
It was all over. It was like, you can't be with Star.
No.
You can't be with her. Nope.
Yeah, she was kind of uncomfortable with him now. She's like, oh man, this is what you're like. And he's like, how's you and Mango? We come calling Marco Mango. Mm-hmm. And it got irritating. He's like, she told you like 4 times, Marco. And he keeps calling him Mango. It's like,
and you don't know if he's doing it to be, to diss Marco,
or if
he's just that stupid.
Right?
So it's over for Oscar. It's like,
nope, not gonna happen.
Fandom's like, go away, Oscar. That's it. We're done with you. There's not a chance, and heck, we want you with Star.
And then after that plot, you kind of get a little bit more of Jackie and Marco, which is really short. So I'm just gonna really go over quickly that you can see even from there. You're glad they're together for a little bit, but you kind of see that they don't have that same click.
There's no chemistry.
You like Jackie, you like Marco, just not together if you don't ship it. And most people, even Dudley, Looney Cat, reviewers have all stated there's no click. You like them, but I think they're just better off as just friends because there's nothing clicking there for it to be romantic, and it's like, it's like
right.
boring.
And Marco, you can tell he doesn't even know how to behave. He's
right.
never had a girlfriend,
right.
and he's been chasing her forever, and he got her, and it's kind of like, okay, now I've got what I want.
Yeah, how do I do
what
this?
do I do now? What?
Yeah, and the thing where she wants him to read her mind, which is kind of foreshadowing, like, he can't do that because you're not Star. He don't know nothing about you. We don't know nothing about you. I'm supposed to feel you want pizza nuggets. I don't even know what you want. I'm thinking skateboards.
And I think it's so important that we mention this to all you Jarko shippers. It's not that Starco fans don't like Jackie. We like Jackie. She was chill. She was cool.
She's a great character.
She never did anything for us to dislike her.
Yeah,
but
true.
we just like the ship. No, forget it. We love the ship Starco. And it's not that we don't like Jackie.
Yeah, she's a good character.
We just don't want her to be with Marco.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So there's no Jarko hate. There's no Jackie hate. We love Jackie.
Right.
We just don't want her to be connected with Marco as a ship or them to end the series together.
Right.
That's it.
Right. That's it. Really simple. And also we gotta bring up the I guess you could say the third plot with Moon and the High Commission going to the castle and getting the wand back.
Which was pretty intense.
Right.
And so unexpected.
Right. And they were all looking for Gloucester, I guess, that he was gone. And they didn't know how. And Ludo doesn't even remember he blacked out because of Toffee. And as the commission go look for the book in Gloucester, Moon kind of talks with Ludo and he kind of tells her, this is what I had to go through as a kid. My whole life I've been treated like this. And even though I've been doing this, I'm still standing strong. He said, but for how long? And you don't look well. You really need help. Because he, like you said, he was a kid. And he was under a lot of stress. And like something might happen to him if he doesn't get some help. And it looked like he might actually agree to do it.
At that point, yeah, you could tell if he hadn't been rudely interrupted by Toffee, that he was going to accept the help from her. It was obvious that he wants help.
Right.
It's obvious.
Yeah, and just wants some respect, as you said. And then, right before that could happen, they go back to Moon, and she's gone. And Toffee came out and was sucking up all their magic. He took on the council by himself and just absorbed magic. And then you also lost one of the strongest members of the Chancellor Leckman, and he turned to dust, saving Moon's life because he had to give them all life force so they wouldn't be dead. And he was gone too, so now the commission was out, literally out of commission. One member was dead, and Ludo was still gone, and she had to retreat. And so Toffee gives the warning, "I'm coming for my finger," and then comes the most heartbreaking part.
And then before that, you realize now, for all you people that were shipping Toffee and Moon.
No.
And then you also, if you weren't sure before, you gotta understand at this point now that Toffee is not a joke. Toffee is a murderer.
Yeah.
Toffee is a killer. And he doesn't respect anybody, not even these ancient people that were on the
not humans nor monsters.
And so all these questions that you had were answered about Toffee, about Moon. There were so many questions we had that were answered. And about, as you said, the High Council, the Commission.
Yeah,
High Commission.
that's fine.
And that there was just, and Ludo, all of it was so powerfully done in such a short period of time. She took, and Darren Nefsey put all of these elements into this little tight, compact amount of time.
And you were interested in every single thing that happened.
Exactly. So now we get to the final part of StarCrush.
Where you think everything's going to be fine. She finally, sells things with Marco and with Oscar, who I don't care less about. And then it turns out Moon said, "You have to leave. We're in danger." And she doesn't want to leave. But now, Toffee's out there and she could probably hurt Marco and his family.
And
they had
she
to
didn't
leave.
want that to happen. And she was not going to argue with her when she realized that. At first she's like, "You can't make me," and blah blah blah, and I'm gonna stand for myself, and this is what I'm gonna do. But when she realized that there would be danger to Marco and his family, but let's be honest, specifically Marco, she was ready to go.
And that's why it was like, was it kind of rushed, because you couldn't really fit all in. It was like the last 3 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes of the episode. Literally, I need you for 2 minutes. And it literally was 2 minutes left, so that was hilarious. And she told him, "I don't have much time." And she finally told him she has a crush on him. And he probably leave forever. And she had to run off. And then he's going after her, and it just starts breaking your heart as it goes. He's like, "What do you mean?" You open the door, and everything disappears. And you're left with this screen. You don't even have the ending song you hear every episode. It's just blank, and you're like, "What? Why'd they do that?" Because no one wanted her to leave, and it actually happened before the end of the series.
And 2 quick things. It was so funny when Pony said, "Who got it?"
Who called it? I called it. Boom! I called it, because she knew she liked him. It was hilarious.
So that their friendship is still there. Just regardless of all these other people and extra people in Marco, Pony still knows her friend. And 2. Some people said Marco was cold. He wasn't cold.
No.
He was stunned.
Yeah.
Because she had just told him not long ago, "Oh, it's not true. I'm over it." And then he sees her saying this, and he's just like
"What?"
"Oh," and then she tells him she's got to go. He was just like brain fart, and he didn't know what to do or what to say. He literally was speechless, and his mind was probably racing at a million miles a minute. He wasn't cold. He's a teenage boy. He didn't know how to process it. And when he finally realized, "Okay, I need to say something," it was too late, like you said, and it really just it was heart gripping, and then you were like, "What's gonna happen?" And when the theme song, the outro didn't play,
it's like,
and it was just silence, and
everyone
you were like,
I watched a lot of reactions. Everyone had the same reaction. They're like dead silence. It's like, they're like, this happened? They're like, what's going on? And it was just everyone in the family just was the day the earth stood still.
Exactly.
And then we got to that the beginning of season 3, and then Mark was like depressed.
But this was the most powerful cliffhanger because of that last 2 minutes, and the silence at the end, and as you said, everyone was silent and speechless, and it set out to do and accomplish exactly what it did. It left us not knowing what the heck was going to happen and not what to expect. And then, of course, Disney drags on bringing it back for us.
Summer. That was ridiculous.
And we were just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then they give us the 2 hours.
Yeah, which is like 4 or 5 episodes.
Which was appreciated. Which was greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
And then we had to have another wait until the show came back again.
Right. Now we get to the final cliffhanger so far, which is the season 3 mid-finale, Monster Bash. And I personally think that season 3 has been written very well so far in terms of pretty much everything. Every aspect is written where you want to see what happens next, whether filler or not. And for this episode, it kind of ties it all together once again.
And every cliffhanger to date answers a ton of questions in such a short amount of time.
Right.
And this one was no different. Monster Bash answered so many questions.
And left you with
so
more, too.
many theories that the fandom had.
Yep.
And they were answered.
Right.
And then they turn around and leave us with more questions at the end. So tell us the synopsis for Monster Bash.
Okay, so for pretty much the course of the season, Star wants to finally have this peace between monsters and mutants that's been going on for centuries, and she's finally putting into it today by having these people sign a treaty. So it's going to be like the first day of this, let's say, the new age of mutiny, where the kids of monsters and humans kind of party together and socialize. And at first it all goes well, and she's kind of busy with doing this and set up for this party. And it starts off okay until then you see Heinous come in, like, at some point in there, like, still in the first half. You think, oh, okay, this is going to go great. And then she comes in and it's like, oh, no, she's going to do something to Marco. She's still after Princess Marco Turdina. Oh, crap. And then they also had focus on a monster and a princess, which is actually a pretty funny little scene. They have this really slimy guy, voiced by Darren's husband, Bobby Miller. I thought that was actually kind of hilarious.
Right.
And this princess with the spider bite. And they kind of go down into this, I guess, bunker or something, and they kind of look around, and then the slime guy, he's captured by something, you don't know what it is, and that starts up the conflict again. It's like,
But before that, let's talk about what happened upstairs with Star and Tom and Marco. What's his name? The pigeon?
Dang, what's that pigeon's name?
Some type of pidge.
Rich Pidge.
Rich Pidge.
All of
the little elements that happen before we get to going into this hidden bunker or hidden area.
Yeah, that's right.
Tom was being self-centered.
Again.
And just wanting Star to pay attention to him and how wonderful he is and everything was
like,
lost.
Okay.
And then Marco was being the responsible one, and Marco was the one who was helping her and doing what she needed to do.
I think he was starting to get jealous again, because Tom did not want to talk to Marco in this episode. He's like, and when he was trying to explain to him why she was like this, like, she's trying to resolve this, she worked on this for months, and it means a lot to her, and he didn't want to hear it, actually. He almost, like foreshadowed, like, when he hit that eye, it looked like he was about to punch him and make him shut up. Right. He's like, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not into politics. Even though he's a fishing prince, not into politics.
Exactly.
And I'm with Dudley. You're the future king of the underworld. Oh my gosh, help these people.
And this was the moment that the fandom liked Tom, but at this, this season just kind of solidifies why Tom, for me, has become less of a likable character.
Right.
And I don't dislike him, but his
Not with Star
narcissistic
either.
ways and how he behaves, and it's always about him.
Yeah.
Every time you learn more and more why Star dumped him in the first place.
Yeah, it makes more sense. It's not just the fact he gets angry so much. It's his personality. He wants to be with her, but it's like he loves himself more right now. And every time someone goes away, you see like little fire come out, like, there he goes. The only thing I can say, he didn't flame on like he did like every other episode.
Oh, he's such a poser. He sits and does it.
You're like,
he's going to do something. And then he fizzles out, and it's like, dude, come on. How many times are you going to do this?
We'll mention that part a little bit later, which will come up.
Okay.
But yeah, he was like, I'm moving the statue by myself. But you missed it. That is sure a loss. It's like, did you really just say this?
Right.
And you're starting to see and this is kind of a sign that this ship isn't going to last much longer, because he's more focused on himself.
Right.
He didn't realize until the end that this actually was important to like the very end.
And Marco told him, though, he said, this is really important to Star. You would know that if you've been listening to her. So, yeah, she's been saying it over and over for, as you said, for a while now.
Right.
This relationship needs to be improved between Munians and monsters after they had that, what is the name of the day?
The Independence Day and the Monster Massacre.
And her eyes were open to just how unfair they had been treated and what was going on.
Right.
So, she had made this her goal, and she was about to see her goal and her dream for the communication to be improved between them. She
Right.
was really happy.
Right.
Not Tom. Tom's like me. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then she just kind of left him alone. And when she found out the monster, when the monster was missing, a bunch of guests were missing. They were going missing. She was trying to get him to help her go look for them because they've been gone for a while, and it was starting the tension was starting to rise again.
Right.
And he's like, oh no, they probably just off kind of similar, like we should be doing.
It's like, would you please shut up?
Even Marco, everyone was like, I'm with you. He's like, ew. We're like, I want Marco. It's like, can you just, stay put for like 5 minutes? Could you not be yourself for 5 minutes?
Right.
And then, Princess is cat like, and you kind of see like she's gonna rely on Marco more because he is actually helping her and cares more about that, even though they're not in a relationship. And Tom's pissed off again. He's like, and it's like, oh, here we go. Come on.
And it wasn't just because he was her squire. He really
cared. Right.
So now let's go into where they go into the hidden bunker.
All right. So they go downstairs. It's like this hidden bunker, like you said, and they find Mina there, who's camped out in front of this
and has
door.
the audacity. Her last name is Lovejoy.
Loveberry. I think
Loveberry.
it's a joke like this. It's a Sailor Moon parody because she was even reading Tuxedo Mask books. So yeah, it was a parody of that, like Sailor Moon Gone Dark, and she was actually the one taking all the monsters and keeping them captive, and she thought they were mean. Like, no, they're not doing anything. And that's when
and she's loony as heck because no matter what Star says, doctor's orders like,
a rock.
Your doctor is a quack because he should have locked your butt up.
Right.
Then we would have to worry about you being here. That's what she should have been locked off.
Right, and then in the middle of that, Haynes kind of crashes that, and she still was going after Marco and trying to take his youth. Before that can even happen, the door opens and you
don't
see
forget she also had her so-called henchman there.
Yeah,
and she had Rastakor, who I think is her child. I still believe Rastakor is her kid.
Right, and right when she's about to do this, the door opens with her cheek marks on it, and you find this nursery filled with just statues and toys and stuff. And she's like, "This is a crib," and she's like, "This is my room. This was my dolls. This is my crib." And I remember this,
and it was so symbolic because she had a locked area in her mind where she had just put all the stuff away to forget it, and just like that area had been broken open and unlocked, that area in her mind was broken open and unlocked, and all the floodgates open with all her memories.
And she was, I remember now. And then Mina, she tells them they didn't understand how was this important to Eclipse, and she finally tells them that's her kid.
You understand?
Yeah, she's her mama. I was like, what? And then people even Deli said, I knew she'd be Butterfly Family, but didn't think she was that closely related.
Right.
So, I mean, she's another great grandma.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And then you had to also, you saw Star was like, that means she's a butterfly. So that means the way she was treating her and thinking of her had to change because now she's family.
Yeah. So now you gotta wait for how that's gonna get resolved too. And it's with the Calypso too. You got all this coming together. Now of course it builds up to getting to this fight with Mina, who's gonna destroy Meteor. She's called now. She was gonna destroy her, and she had to fight her off. And it was difficult because she was really, really powerful, and she might be part of monster.
And then this is one part where I have to say I give Tom a lot of credit, and Tom should get an applause. He actually finally got it, and he tried to come to Star's aid, and he really showed how powerful he is.
Right.
I mean, you look at him, and he does all this flaming on and nothing and acting a joke, but you saw his supernatural power. And it was like, what the heck?
Right, put her in a coffin and Shane, like, wow, okay, I gotta
all
admit.
These symbols and things like supernatural.
Yeah.
And then he was mumbling at first, and you were like, what the heck?
Yeah, like, don't repeat it.
And you thought, okay, wow, this is going to hold her, but Mina is really crazy.
She's more powerful than you think now, because she's now another villain.
Right.
And she broke out of that, but he did try at least, so yeah, I will give props to that. He did realize, like, sorry, I was kind of being like that before. Like, okay, you got some points off, but you're still being a jerk. But, yeah, and then after that, then, the police came, had to shut it down. Then they're going to arrest all the monsters.
And leave the music
alone, and they said, why aren't you arresting them? They were loitering too. And they could never answer. It's like you knew what it was. And that, and she's like, I don't even know who my own family is. I don't know why I thought I could change this in one night. So there's still more to be done than just a treaty and a party. There was still more that had to be done. And at the very end, where you see Meteor and those final words with her and her last scene, and the music, and
you
just
see that one little furry monster arm that's
and the pointy ears, and her eyes are yellow, and it's just like intense finale. It's like, crap, what's gonna happen next? And you gotta wait till who knows
like,
when.
Come along, my lady. Miss Heinous. And she says, my name's not Meteora.
He said, that's not my name. My name is Meteora. And I want to give props to her voice actor, Jessica Walter. She was really great in this. She was hilarious when she was crazy. She was really engaging when she was in the room, and then with the last scene, it sounded really threatening. She's really great as Meteora. She was the best pick. I even liked it when they had first introduced her in the first season. She does a great job of this character, and she really was putting in all this energy
that you love to hate.
Yeah.
No matter what Heinous has done, you know she's a bad guy, but for some reason you laugh. And you like her craziness. And you look forward to seeing it. You look forward to episodes where she comes and makes an appearance. And all that's probably going to change now that you know that. Yeah, she's probably doing something after else. Though she's still going to be after Marco. It's going to be after the Butterfly Family 2. You have to wait and see because Disney won't release the next season. So this is the final cliffhanger we've covered. And this one has left so many questions unanswered, answered so many, and left so many unanswered. And we cannot wait to see how this is going to affect the arc of all the little different sub-stories and subplots that are going on in the series. So and it's just like dang good writing for everybody, everything. Everyone has their own opinion on how these things are written, but I personally think they're doing an awesome job with season 3 so far. It's probably their best one in terms of storytelling in every aspect of this show. And it's cliffhangers and clues and hints, and everything is either has you laughing, crying, angry, heartbroken, waiting intensely for more. It just piles everything together. Your whole gamut of emotions. So that is why we had to do this podcast. Duh. I'm so busy thinking about Star versus the Forces of Evil. But we really want to give a big thanks to Sylvian, because we were trying to figure out what type of podcast would we do on Star versus the Forces of Evil, and she's the one who gave us the inspiration to do all cliffhangers. So thank you so much, Sylvian. Smooches. And thanks so much. And that's gonna kind of wrap it up for us for this podcast as we wait for Star versus the Forces of Evil to return in April. And there's not even that many episodes left. There's only like less than 10 now, so they gotta tie in all this together in once. And I can only imagine how they do it, because every finale we've covered in here has been just awesome. Exactly. And one of the best of the series. So I can only imagine how they're going to do season 3. And it's still got a 4th season on the way. So what's going to happen next? Exactly. So next week we're going to be discussing, finally, Nickelodeon memories. We love Nickelodeon, and we apologize to Nickelodeon. We haven't given a lot of attention to you, but this whole podcast is going to be just on Nickelodeon memories, our favorite shows, together as well as apart. Shows that I watched before Rascal was born. Shows I've watched since she was born. And there's still some good shows on now too. Right, so it's going to be really fun. We're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll mention a whole lot of Nickelodeon shows that are your favorites or were your favorites, or even shows we like to see get a reboot and come back. Right, because there's still a lot of stuff coming for this network, too, especially like with Hey Arnold and Rocco. So, okay, that wraps up things for us. I'm Rascal Entertainments. And I'm Mama Entertainments. And have a toontastic day. Peace. And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you want to do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, giving